Hello and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor... I said that so weird. Hello and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast with me, Matthew, and as always, I am joined with... And it froze. Hello and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast with me, Matthew, and I am joined this week, as always, with...
Well, your with gets longer and longer each time. Hello, this is
Oh my
Scott.
fucking Jesus, fuck. Fuck.
Are you frozen? Oh my god.
Fuck me. Fuck me. Oh my god. Hello and... Oh, fuck me. Ha! Hello, and welcome to Who... I'm just going to keep all of these fuck-ups in. Hello, and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast with me, Matthew, and as always, I am joined with...
Hello, it's Scott.
Hello, Scott. It is nice to meet you for the 80,000th time. I don't know why I said it's nice to meet you. I'm just fucking not here right now, apparently. It is the end of the month, and the end of the month means, of course, it is our time for our Doctor Who news roundup. And there has been some interesting Doctor Who revelations recently. There has been some very extensive behind-the-scenes reveals to us from Doctor Who magazine, but I think this week we should lead with the biggest news, Scott, and I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah, just a little bit behind the scenes. We started the month with a news podcast, and I was thinking, at the end of the month we're doing another news podcast in 2 weeks' time. We're not going to get much news. Holy shit, it's been busy.
Been a busy 2 weeks, yeah.
But yes, basically, Coronation Street's Millie Gibson has been revealed as a new companion. And there's not much to go in with her because I don't know her work, but apparently she's a good actress.
Yep, you can count on Russell T Davies to cast a blonde teenager to be the companion.
And you can count on the online fandom being creepy about an 18-year-old, so that's fun.
It's going to happen, it's the internet. But, I know literally nothing about this companion. I'm not a Coronation Street watcher. Surprise, surprise. I'm not an enjoyer of soaps. I am not a 60-year-old woman. So, so I know nothing. I know nothing of her work. I don't know what she's like. For her interview she did with Ncuti Gatwa being the interviewer was really charming, and they have a nice back and forth, but... We'll see how well they work on camera. Yeah. They are two ridiculously attractive looking people, though. I think it might be the best looking TARDIS group that we've ever had.
But yeah, the whole decision to reveal it in Children in Need was a smart decision, I think. You get some Doctor Who fans watching the show just for that companion reveal. I think the companion reveal itself was underwhelming. She just basically stepped out the TARDIS and said, "Hello, I am Millie Gibson," and then she walked away, basically. But you get extra Doctor Who fans watching the show, and obviously Children in Need, I don't know how many viewers it pulls in, but it pulls in quite a significant amount of viewers. So
I haven't watched Children in Need since I was a child. I think I think it must have been like 2008 or 9 that I stopped watching Children in Need.
Yeah, I think the last time I made a conscious effort to actually watch Children in Need was because of Time Crash, which was the multi-Doctor special with the 10th Doctor and 5th Doctor.
I remember that one
Was that Children in Need or was it Comic Relief?
I think it was Comic Relief. It was one of them. It was a TV special that like Children in Need or Comic Relief.
No, it was definitely Children in Need because it had the Titanic thing as well.
Right, okay. But I do remember watching that live and very much enjoying it as a kid.
I hope we get more stuff like that going forward, more little skits, Yeah. We haven't really had that in a long time. I think the last one was like 2011 with... it was the one where the TARDIS lands inside the TARDIS and Amy Pond steps out of the TARDIS and says, "Okay, this is where things get complicated," and there's two Amy Ponds for a bit.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Okay.
But I think for me, what's interesting with this children in need thing is it really feels like suddenly the entire public is talking about Doctor Who again. Suddenly Doctor Who is in the news again. Suddenly it feels like almost like it's relevant again. You know, like it feels like 2008-9 when Doctor Who was on Children in Need and you're like, oh my fuck. You know, Doctor Who is super big. Although weirdly this time it doesn't quite feel like it should be like already in Children in Need and stuff like that. It's very nice that it is, but it doesn't feel like there's the same atmospheric hype around it as before, you know?
I think it might be the biggest companion reveal as well, because like the last time we had a big companion reveal like this was when Pearl Maki was revealed in like a video clip of her walking through a corridor of explosions behind her.
Yeah, it was like a clip from the episode. It was just a clip from one of the episodes, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a clip from Pilot where, you know, when they run into the Daleks briefly.
Yes, it was, exactly, yes.
Yeah, but the last companion reveal was it was John Bishop at the end of the Dalek New Year's Day
Introducing
special.
John Bishop as the Doctor, yes.
That's such a bizarre reveal.
The same reveal John Hurt got, on the same level as John Hurt.
I mean, the one before that was just an image of Jodie Whittaker and the three others just standing in the corridor, which wasn't very exciting, but at least here, like, the day after we get that Q&A and we just feel the chemistry between the two actors. That was really special. I think it's a good way of doing it, you know? It makes me excited when it's like a year and a half away. We won't see his TARDIS crew until a year and a half away, which is insane.
It's insane. We've got like a whole other Doctor to get through before we get to this one, which is weird.
Yeah, we have 2 Doctors lined up. That's the first ever time.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's really weird. But in other news, the Doctor Who 60th anniversary, celebration is starting to ramp up already. As you know, the day that we are recording this, it is the 59th anniversary of Doctor Who today.
Only 10 years away from his 69th anniversary. Nice.
Oh, that's going to be such a good one. I'm so glad that we'll be alive to witness the 69th anniversary of Doctor Who. Brilliant.
If we are alive.
Yeah, well, in the post-apocalypse, we'll celebrate it. But Big Finish are even celebrating the 60th Doctor Who anniversary. Surprise, surprise, I didn't even know they liked Doctor Who. But Big Finish marks 60 years of Doctor Who with a mammoth 8-part full-cast audio drama series beginning in May 2023. Since landing in 1963, this is written on the Big Finish website, Doctor Who has made history as the world's longest-running action-adventure TV show. As we head into the anniversary year, it's time to revisit the past and commemorate the legacy of those who came before. The Time War. The Doctor has been injured and brought to a Time Lord field hospital. His body glows with energy, but this is no regeneration into a future form. Instead, the Doctor's past faces begin to appear as he flits. I can't read that word from here. What does that say? Flits. As he flits. I guess that's a word. Flits. As he flits haphazardly between incarnations. Staggering to his TARDIS, the Doctor sets out to solve the mystery of his degeneration. Who has done this to him? How and why? From the Earth to the stars, across an array of familiar times and places, he follows clues to retrace his steps, encountering old friends and enemies along the way. Tumbling through his lives, the Doctor must stop his degeneration before he loses himself completely. This story stars Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, Christopher Eccleston, and David Tennant, which is why you're seeing all these new clickbait articles saying Christopher Eccleston is coming back to star with David Tennant in the 60th anniversary. It is clickbait. He's coming back in the audio drama, but it's still going to be fucking awesome to hear him with David Tennant, you know?
So yeah, these Doctor Who Once and Future will be like 8 parts and will be released monthly, with the first 7 parts materializing between May and October 2023, and a final coda a year later in November 2024. I don't know why there's a year gap.
You know, it'll be interesting. But we should definitely try to cover this release for sure.
If you want to buy each release individually, they are $8.99 download only, or $10.99 for the CD, or you can buy them as a pre-order bundle for £60 for the download, £72 for CD, which is decent pricing.
Mm-hmm. The CD is also limited to only 3,000 pressings. So, with the CD bundle, that is.
So they recorded, apparently they were working on this for the last 3 years, so
Damn.
It's very interesting. It very much lines up with the actual 60th anniversary of where he degenerates into David Tennant, which, is very bizarre.
It's interesting. It's just in the air at the minute, isn't it,
Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
And, I wonder how they will try to explain this as canon, because I don't remember ever seeing the Doctor be like, remember that time when I started degenerating once before?
There'll be like a memory wipe or some shenanigans, or it's just not canon. It's just like a fun story. But either way, it's really, really cool. It sounds like such an interesting story.
And I'm glad this is a monthly kind of thing, because it leads up to this 60th anniversary. Yes. So we're every month we're like, okay, what's going to happen next? Any fan theories going on or something like that. It feels like it's going to become an event in a year where Doctor Who isn't going to be on TV much, which feels nice. Oh yeah, the titles are, number 1 is Past Lives, 2, The Artist at the End of Time, Van Gogh. 3, A Genius for War. 4, Two's Company. 5, The Martians' Invasion of Planetoid. 6,
50.
Time Lord. Oh yeah, 50. 6, Time Lord Immemorial. 7, The Union, and 8, Coda, The Final Act. So yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, the way it's described as him basically retracing his steps. Does that mean he's going to go into Tom Baker stories about him reliving Genesis of the Daleks and he's retracing his steps, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know either. What's interesting as well is they've not said who's rating these.
Yeah, no director, no writers, nothing really. Yeah, producer David Richardson. That's all we really know.
Watch it be fucking Dick Russell that's written these. He's had this master plan. Bizarre. He's had this. He's planning it so that when it bleeds into the 60th anniversary with David Tennant, he's just had this really complicated idea in his head for 3 years.
I am really curious on how this will play out. It's really interesting, but we will see. We will see.
It is really interesting.
And also Christopher Eccleston, a multi-Doctor story, maybe.
Ooh,
I'm not sure if they're going to interact with each other or just star in their own separate storylines, but kind of
blend together.
And also, does that mean Christopher? Because this is set during a time war, so I presume the Doctor who regenerates is the 8th Doctor. Does that mean he regenerates into the Christopher Eccleston and
Doctor who regenerates is the War Doctor? Surely. Well, I mean, it's in the Time War, so it must be the War Doctor. Unless it's the 8th Doctor when he was, avoiding the fighting in the Time War.
That's a good point. I don't know. It's really bizarre.
That's weird. Yeah, it's weird. I'm excited for that. It sounds so interesting. In other news, as revealed last month, the BBC and Disney-branded television have come together to transform Doctor Who into a global franchise for UK audiences and the rest of the world. Oh, thank you, giant mouse in the sky. Broadcast reports that Doctor Who's existing budget of £1 to £3 million per episode could triple with an episodic budget of £10 million. I don't think 1 million times 3 is 10 million. This would transform...
3 million.
This would transform... Oh my god. This would transform Doctor Who into a £100 million franchise. A source told broadcast that it's an incredibly exciting time for the franchise, with Russell T Davies expecting to expand the universe with spin-off series similar to Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures. We predicted this months ago. A source told the publication the BBC had to make the decision for the future success of Doctor Who because any show of scale needs a partner. Reliability is the most important factor, irrespective of how many episodes you make or who the Doctor is. If you can bring in a single partner with one distribution agreement while retaining exclusivity in the UK, that is the best of the both worlds for the BBC. Do you think, right, that the BBC looked at Flux and went, oh fuck, we need more money, this looks like shit?
Well, the thing with Flux is I always give it a benefit of the doubt because it was filmed during COVID, and for the most part I think Flux looked pretty decent for the budget.
Rewatching it, whew, it is. There's some stuff like I can overlook bad green screen quite well. It's the CGI Daleks.
Yeah.
The blue particle effect is hilarious. Every time it shows up, it is the fucking most funny thing I've ever. It looks like shit. It's spectacular.
Yeah,
like you could put it into Classic Who and it would fucking fit.
From the top of my head, I can only think of like 3 really bad moments of special effects. Was the very first opening shot where the Doctor and Yaz are upside down talking to the dog. That green screen didn't work that well.
Yeah, that was
the Floating Daleks, as you've said, and also the episode with the Sontarans in Liverpool. There's a lot of establishing shots where it looks really bad.
You should rewatch Flux. It was an interesting experience. It was an interesting experience because I was like, I feel like I liked it a lot less than the first time I watched it. Even like the Angel episode, which I really loved the first time I saw it. This time around, knowing that it leads to fucking nothing really takes away any goodwill that it had for it, you know?
Yeah, that's the biggest problem, because when we were watching it, we're excited for the story to develop more.
We're coming
up
with so many theories,
and then as you go back into it, it's like, oh yeah, this doesn't go anywhere, does it? Oh, this doesn't go anywhere.
The last 2 episodes are honestly spectacular train crashes.
Oh god, yeah, we thought the same thing at the time.
I know, but like, oh my god, rewatching it, it's like, Jesus, they shit the bed so hard.
But yeah, the idea of doing spin-offs, also, we discussed this in the past. I think if they did a spin-offs, it would be 100% Disney. It would be like a Disney Plus exclusive.
Yes, I think so as well.
And it would probably end up on BBC iPlayer over here, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Ideas for spin-offs. I can't think of any ideas for spin-offs that they haven't done with Big Finish already. So I guess if they want to do spin-offs, it would be new characters. Because if they did an 8th Doctor spin-off,
I would like that, though.
But would that mean Big Finish couldn't use the 8th Doctor anymore?
I don't know. I feel like they would still work something out with Big Finish, just because obviously Big Finish have been the home for the 8th Doctor for so long.
Yeah, but also if you think about it, you think, oh, there's an 8th Doctor series on Disney Plus right now. It's like 6 episodes a year, and also there's this Big Finish thing that they're doing. It. I don't want to listen to Big Finish because we have a real thing on television. Big Finish would probably maybe lose sales unless,
I guess, but
either lose sales or get more sales.
Yeah, the way that they would pitch it is that they would get more sales because more people would become interested in the 8th Doctor and go out looking for material with the 8th Doctor. Plus, I don't think Big Finish give a shit about sales. They cannot sell well, but they make like 15,000 audio dramas a year.
Yeah, Big Finish are just fucking busy people.
They are. They're just constantly working.
Aye. They've been doing it for 25 years. Give them a lot of credit.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's so cool.
They are basically an independent company who just got the license to do Doctor Who. That's massive.
Yeah, they just they've also, were responsible for keeping it alive. Yeah. When Doctor Who was off the air, there was still Doctor Who stories you could listen to, And
also, they still have the license for another 7 years or so. I hope they renew the license because it's nice that we have Big Finish existing, We have Doctor Who stories every week throughout the year, which is wild.
It's insane.
So I just fucking listen to 8th Doctor, a new 8th Doctor story every other week. And now today, a 9th Doctor story just dropped, which is wild.
So much. You could spend every day of your life listening and watching Doctor Who content and never come close to running out.
Yeah. I would imagine there's like, how many hours do you think there is? Like 1 million?
Oh, more so.
Like
there's got to be, if not more. Like, if you went back to 25 years of audio dramas, like, and if you count like all the Blake 7 shit and stuff they do as well.
Oh god, yeah.
It's
insane. I wonder how much money they make, or how much. I don't know how much. I wonder how they keep their business alive. I wonder.
They must just work with their. I think like their behind the scenes is really small. Like,
Yeah.
I think they've got like maybe they like freelance a lot of writers, but all the audio and production design is done by like the same 3 people,
Yeah, because one of my favorite things is when you go on the website and you're looking at new releases, you click on behind the scenes, and just everyone's photographed in the
car
car
park.
park or
Yeah.
just outside the building.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to think we're so small, but yet they do so much.
They're an incredible company for sure. And speaking of incredible companies, the Doctor Who magazine came out, and it was a deep dive into the mind of Russell T Davies, as he gave us so many behind-the-scenes looks and reasonings and thoughts into everything. So here are some of the biggest takeaways from the magazine. We were given a rundown, basically, of the new crew coming to Doctor Who.
Yeah.
We've got Joel Collins, the executive producer the executive producer for His Dark Materials and Black Mirror. Phil Collinson, who was an executive producer in series 1 to 4 of Doctor Who. I just figured out what you meant.
Yeah.
And It's a Sin. Julie Gardner, who was an executive producer in series 1 to 4 and the founder of Bad Wolf Studios. Shocked that she came back. That was sarcastic because Bad Wolf Studios own Doctor Who now. Jane Tranter, who was an executive producer on BBC Drama, a former BBC Drama commissioner and co-founder of Bad Wolf Studios. Vicky Delow, yeah, Delow sounds right. Producer, used to be a script producer for EastEnders and produced His Dark Materials. Chris May, producer, first AD on Sex Education and His Dark Materials, or Sex Educatio, as you've written here, the Spanish spin-off. Ellen Marsh, who was the co-producer and former work on Succession and Industry. We've also got Scott Hancock, who was a former script editor on Doctor Who, who is a script editor, used to work on Doctor Who Confidential, Sarah Jane Adventures, and Big Finish. And finally, in this crew, we've got Philip Sims, who is coming in as a production designer. He's done work on Star Wars Episode 9, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Mission Impossible 6 to 7. So you can bet there's going to be some fucking nice production on this. It's a pretty solid crew. You know, a lot of people won't know those names, but the shows, you know, Sex Education is really good. Sex Educatio is not as good as Sex Education, but it's an alright spin-off. His Dark Materials is supposed to be really, really good.
Yeah. His Dark Materials is also a co-production with Bad Wolf, so it makes sense. A lot of people are coming in from that show.
Yes. We also got to look at some of the directors coming on board, didn't we?
Yeah, we have Rachel Talalay, who directed all the Peter Capaldi series finals. She did.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, some of the best episodes of the show. The second special is going to be directed by Tom Kingsley, who directed episodes of Ghosts and Staff Let's Flats.
Ghosts is a fantastic show, by the way.
Yeah.
It's done by the people that made Horrible Histories, and it's wonderful. It's so good.
Keep meaning to check it out, but you know, there's too many shows.
There is too many shows, but Ghosts is charming.
The third special, which is going to be the last special, the big anniversary special, I'd imagine, is Chania Button, who directed episodes of Worlds on Fire, The Spanish Princess, and The Whistle Pearl, which I've never heard of any of those shows.
Nope, I don't know any of those.
And Series 14, Block 1, basically they shoot episodes of the show together, so Dylan Holmes Williams, who directed episodes of M. Night Shyamalan's show Servant,
which is supposed to be okay. Yeah, it's supposed to be
a lot of Apple TV shows are apparently really good. I don't have an Apple TV subscription. Actually, I got a free trial once, and I didn't check anything out on it. So,
I think I could get a free trial with Game Pass, but I want another streaming service? I already have so many. Like, I have so many streaming services at the minute.
The biggest takeaway for me is that Scott Hancock is going to be the script editor, which will relieve a lot of tension for Russell T Davies, who, if you ever read Russell T Davies's book, The Writer's Tale, it sounds like he had an incredibly stressful job being script editor as well, so I'm glad he's got some of the responsibilities off of him.
Yeah, for sure. And further into the magazine as well, Russell T Davies goes into a bit of the behind the scenes of how much writing he's actually done recently, and that he's done 10 scripts so far, 4 of them being the specials, and he's written 6 regular episodes of Doctor Who. He says,
and this was in September, so it's probably more now. It's probably
yeah,
up to 12, I would imagine.
he says that Special 1 contains 3 words: Westerly, Pelican, and Dreams. And episode 7, the first line in episode 7 is Interior Coffee Bar, USA, Day, 1947. I'm really shocked that Doctor Who's going back to the USA once after it signed this deal with Disney. Wow, I wonder what market they're trying to break into again. He said that he wanted to come back during the lockdown rewatch of The Runaway Bride, and he offhandedly said to Catherine Tate that they should do some more Doctor Who, to which she responded with, "Yeah, let's do it." And David Tennant said that he would do it again in a heartbeat, and that kind of got the ball slowly rolling for this crazy comeback. As a former producer of Doctor Who, I had a job to do. If David and Catherine had expressed a wish to return, it was literally my job to let the BBC know. It wasn't my choice anymore. It was my duty. That's a direct quote from Russell T Davies.
It sounds a lot like the War Doctor's line. It was my duty.
Haha, duty. Said that he didn't want to tell Chibnall about wanting to return, and he wanted to avoid talking about work with Chibnall because they're just like mates, because obviously they've known each other for a very long time. You know?
Chibnall was probably in the middle of a mental breakdown trying to work Flux, and trying to think, oh my god, I have to do an extra special? Fuck.
Oh my god, I have a week to write an episode? What the fuck? Write and shoot an episode?
Special 1 contains 3 words: Westerly, Pelican, and Dreams. I highlighted Dreams because maybe that's something to do with the Doctor degenerating? I don't know.
Maybe it's got something to do with the dreamy eyes of Beep the Meep. Maybe.
And also an idea of one of the episode 7 taking place in USA 1947 makes me think it's going to be like a crime noir kind of thing. And also I do wonder, it makes me think USA in the 1940s racist, so I wonder if we're going to address any kind of racism with the 14th Doctor. 15th Doctor. I keep calling him the 14th Doctor.
Yeah, no, shoot, he's the 15th, you fake fucking fan. Scott Hancock has also kept a production diary. Who's Scott Hancock again, Scott?
The script editor.
No, he's not you. He's the script editor.
I wish it was me.
Because you're both called Scott. Russell T Davies asked Scott to keep record of everything going forwards. That would be auditions, tone meetings, shoot days, edits, anything that they're actually allowed to share. And some of it was printed into the magazine. So on Monday, the 5th of September, James Page joins the team. He'll be working as brand manager at BBC Studios, dividing his time between their offices in London and our studios in Cardiff. And it's a job that is all-encompassing. Beyond what we're producing here in our studios, James will also be responsible for Doctor Who's life off-screen, ensuring that all the books, audios, comics, podcasts, expositions, and everything else push to be bigger, bolder than ever. Is James Page our boss?
So yeah, my idea with James Page, I wonder if he's going to try and make everything a bit more canon.
I think maybe he's just trying to make everything a bit more all-encompassing and easier to find, because right now Doctor Who is in like 8 different fucking universes, and you've got to be like, okay, so if I want to listen to audio dramas, I have to go to this really jank website, and if I want to buy the magazine, I have to go to this even jankier website. Maybe he's just responsible for just bringing it all together and sticking it in one place, like DoctorWho.com.
Yeah. And also my hope is, we mentioned books, I hope there's more books, because I would actually want to read more books, books with the 14th Doctor. That'd be so much fun to read. I would like more Doctor Who books.
He would read books, what a total dork. On Saturday, the 24th of September, secret companion auditions take place in London with Shooty in attendance. And this actually, Shooty talked a bit about this at the companion reveal, where he was like, the second that, I don't remember the name of the new companion.
Millie Gibson.
The second that Millie Gibson left the room, he turned to Russell T Davies and went, "That's her. We need her as the companion. She's the one." Which is...
Yeah, I obviously put this a little bit before I found out Millie Gibson was going to be companion. But the fact that Ncuti Gatwa had kind of some say in who he wanted the companion to be is interesting, because the idea is that he would know who he has most chemistry with. And of course, as an actor, he would know, he would know the best person for the job.
Yeah,
I'm glad Russell T Davies listened to him. If that story is true, maybe he was just saying it to be nice, but,
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, there was also a whole article about the whole regeneration, and Doctor Who magazine points out the mind-blowing fact that David Tennant is the third oldest actor to take on the role, and he's 4 years younger than William Hartnell.
It's insane how good David Tennant looks still. And how old William Hartnell looked when he was in the role. Because he looked like an old man, but, David Tennant being 4 years younger than he was, it's insane.
Like one of our mutual friends worked with David Tennant on a show, and apparently David Tennant still has so much energy. Like, he was just running across the set and all that. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And also, like, David Tennant is like the busiest man in Britain. He's in like every TV show every 2 weeks. He's got a new thing coming out. Like, it's absolutely insane the amount that man works. What is an interesting thing here as well that you haven't included in this little regeneration segment is Russell T Davies actually explained why Jodie's clothes regenerated as well, because when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, there's something afoot. There's some sort of huge conspiracy going here. Maybe David Tennant isn't actually the Doctor. Maybe it's, the toy maker messing with him or something like that. And Russell T Davies explained that actually, no, it's nothing like that. He didn't want to give basically the really shit papers in Britain ammunition to print homophobic material, specifically in regards to things like drag when they see David Tennant in women's clothing, so he was like, fuck it, the clothes are going to regenerate too, because I don't want to give anybody ammunition for something that is not worth causing a drama for,
Yeah. I did include that for the reason being that it caused a lot of controversy on Twitter, of course.
Well, that's where controversy was born.
Came out. And people who are in the LGBTQ plus community kind of thought that he was kind of being dismissive of like drag artists or cross-dressers or trans people, because I don't know what the reasoning is. I didn't include it because I didn't want to talk about it, because obviously as two cis men, we're the ones to talk about this, right? Too long have our voices been silenced on matters such as gender identity. It's about time that us two white guys on a podcast talked about gender identity and gender norms. Here we go. It's the first time ever. And, I can see both sides of the arguments, with people on Twitter being upset about it because obviously it's for kind of identity. It's for identity. And they feel like maybe Russell T Davies is kind of dismissing them, saying, oh, men can't wear women's clothing or something.
I think it was the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you know anything about Russell T Davies, he is a huge advocate for LGBTQ plus, especially trans things. Like, he went up on the BBC, which are famously very transphobic, and was like, there is no LGB without the T. He is very much an advocate for trans rights and things like that. I think what it's getting misconstrued is perhaps Russell T Davies felt a need to protect that group of people from the public eye more than they felt that they didn't actually need to be protected, because he didn't want to show David Tennant in women's clothing so that it wouldn't be, made fun of and memed and used as a way to be spoken about, weaponized against people that actually do wear drag. It's kind of a lose-lose situation, but I think given the circumstances, I would have done the same thing that Russell T Davies did.
And I presume there's still going to be a plot reason why his clothes changed. That would be part of the plot.
Maybe not though, because they even talk about it, I think, in the magazine, where they're like, it's not the first time the Doctor's clothes regenerated. The first Doctor and the second Doctor's clothes regenerated, so there's a precedent. It happened once.
Although I keep on forgetting that's a thing, because their clothes look
so
very
similar
in that episode. But yeah, I can understand both sides of the argument. It's just a messy situation where I think Russell T Davies was probably taken out of context a bit.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, also there's the whole thing of people on Twitter saying Jodie's design and Jodie's costume design in general was kind of chosen because it's non-gender specific. So a lot of people are like, yeah, we don't need it to be... Like, Sacha Dhawan wore her costume in the episode.
True.
Which obviously Russell T Davies probably didn't know about at the time.
No, he definitely wouldn't have known it. Yeah, no, Which,
it's a messy situation.
It's messy, but I don't think, I don't think Russell T Davies did anything maliciously or did anything even wrong, perhaps.
Oh, and also somebody pointed it out to Russell T Davies on his Instagram post, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't see it that way, but I respect your opinion." And then people are like, "Oh, see how dismissive Russell T Davies is being towards this person."
People just love getting upset. People just love it. They're like, "Fuck it, I want to be upset right now."
I can still understand why some people were upset. I can see why if you read the quote out of context, because initially the quote came out the day before the magazine was published, and only like one half of the quote was published on Twitter beforehand.
Smart.
And he had to read the whole magazine to find out what the exact context was with that quote. So I can understand why people were upset. So
yeah. We also found out that Rachel Talalay shot David's side of the regeneration. And this was news that I really already knew, and I feel like a lot of us knew. We didn't know who the director was that shot it, but we knew for a fact that Jodie herself didn't know who the next Doctor was going to be because they did not shoot them at the same time. They shot them completely separately.
Which makes a lot of sense because obviously Jodie's side of regeneration was shot last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, David's side was probably shot in like April or May of this year. So.
Yeah. Which it makes sense. It's also we've talked about it before, but it's crazy how far things have come because when Capaldi regenerated, he also didn't meet Jodie at all. They just CG'd it. But I don't know about Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi, but I know David and Matt Smith. They were on set together at the same time because there's loads of behind-the-scenes photos. But I don't know about Capaldi and Matt Smith. I wonder if they were. I doubt it.
I don't know. I think I remember a story of Matt Smith had broken his leg when he first met Peter Capaldi, and he came limping in the restaurant and said, basically, "Oh yeah, this is what the role of Doctor Who will do to you. You'll break your leg." But I'm not sure if he actually met on the set or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, also in the magazine, we got our very first appearance of the 14th Doctor in his first ever story. Well, just quickly, it's not a very long story. It's like 5 pages or something.
Yeah,
but,
it was short.
What did you think of the story?
I don't know if I liked it.
Neither do I.
The writing felt really bad when I was reading. It felt really like, what? This is how we're writing this? Okay, I guess some of it's because it's a comic, and it gets kind of worded down and simplified.
Yeah, but basically, the first thing David Tennant does when he regenerates is he's going to run into the TARDIS and he's going to go to a football match and then he's going to.
And then the Daleks are going to show up or something, and then. But yeah, I don't get it. I think I was a bit more optimistic that it was going to be something interesting. Yeah. But it's just the Daleks come back, I guess. But what's interesting about this comic specifically is that it's going to be a recurring thing all the way up until the 60th anniversary, where it's then supposed to lead almost flawlessly into the 60th anniversary. Although at the same time, if you've not been reading it, you're not going to miss out on anything when you start watching the 60th anniversary. So it's essentially pointless.
Yeah. Yeah, we're really not going to get any kind of glimpses of information on how David Tennant regenerated into David Tennant, but it's fun, It's fun to see the 14th Doctor. It takes place straight after regeneration. It's the first Dalek comic in 20 years. I think the last one was a Paul McGann story. It covers the first hour of the 14th Doctor's lives, and also the Sea Devils and the Brigadier is going to show up in future comics, so that'll be interesting. You can't escape the Sea Devils, my friend.
They're following us around wherever
overall,
we go.
I think this whole magazine was the best magazine I picked up for Doctor Who since 2011. So that's a long time.
It was a really good read. I had a really good time with it.
I really like the sense of progression in the magazine as well, because we had one article about the regeneration, and the final image of that article was of the regeneration. Then we cut to the comic strip. And it opens up when the regeneration. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it is very cool indeed. And I'm interested to see where it goes. Maybe it'll get better as it goes on, but I'm not holding out all the hope in the world for it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll discuss the magazine more, and Yeah, I think this whole magazine is going to become like a monthly recurring feature in our news podcasts because we're going to keep dropping stuff.
Yeah, they will. They'll
So,
just keep
yeah.
going. In other news, famous comedian slash actor lady Miriam Margolyes, who is 81, joins the cast of Doctor Who for its 60th anniversary and will appear alongside returning David Tennant and Catherine Tate. I hope she's Wilf's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Miriam Margolyes, who you'll probably, listener, know her best as the garden lady from Harry Potter. She was the one that put everything in pots. You also might know her best for calling Jeremy Hunt Jeremy Cunt on TV very recently. She's a very funny lady.
Yeah, I don't know her outside of Harry Potter, but whenever I see her in like interviews talking about politics, she always has great opinions.
Yeah, she's a very, very strange but very funny old lady, and I'm very interested to see what she'll bring to the 60th anniversary. I'm sure it'll be very charming.
But yeah, a scene between her and Wilf, two comic legends, would be perfect. It'd be so great.
It will be. It would be extremely
but yeah,
good.
according to sources, Miriam was a natural choice to appear in the role of upcoming episodes. We don't know anything about her role, but I presume it's going to be very minor. She's 81. I don't imagine her running down corridors.
You say that. They had Wilf, who was in his like 95 or 96, getting pushed in a wheelchair as like explosions went off around him, you know?
True. But yeah.
Yeah. In other news, the BBC have published the full script for Doctor Who: The Power of the Doctor, which revealed new details about the original plans for Jodie Whittaker's regeneration scene.
So basically the regeneration scene in the final episode, they basically swapped the final lines. Basically the final line in the script was, I want to know what happens next. It's only a sad thing. I bet it's going to be brilliant. And they decided to flip it around, so her final lines is, what came before in the script was, tag, you're it. Which I think was a nice decision to flip that around.
Chibnall, I think, spoke about this in Doctor Who magazine as well, where he was saying that, you know, he had this final line for the Doctor the entire time, which was, I bet it's going to be brilliant, because when Capaldi regenerated into Jodie Whittaker, her first line was, brilliant. So it was this, like, mirroring thing, and then I don't remember who it was that convinced him to flip it in the edit.
It was a woman who was one of the editors, I think. So.
Yeah, to flip it to tag you're it, which is, it was a great, you know, line to end it on for Jodie's Doctor, for sure.
It's the perfect decision to do, because, you know, it goes into, I'm not sure what's going to happen next, I bet it's going to be brilliant. Alright, Doctor, whoever I'm going to be next, tag you're it. I think that's the best way of doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was very well done.
During the whole AA meeting with all the previous companions, we noticed there was an empty chair with what appeared to be a laptop on it. And apparently Chibnall wanted either Jackie Tyler, Ryan, or Martha to be on the laptop.
No.
Which is interesting. Jackie Tyler, someone who was trapped in another world.
Yeah, but I mean, don't worry about it. You know, or Ryan, or Martha, but instead we got nobody because none of them wanted to come back.
Yeah, if it was anyone, I would imagine it would be Ryan, number one. But the first mention was, Jackie Tyler, probably.
Yeah, Jackie Tyler would have been confusing, but seeing Ryan would have been all right. Martha would have been a cool one, but she's off like fighting crime with Mickey still or something.
Yeah, I think I prefer it to be, all classic companions, you know. We get a representation of every decade with Ian from the 60s, Joe from the 70s, and Mel from the 80s. I think that worked better for the final.
Yeah.
Cass is back. Remember Cass?
Nope.
Paul McGann stars in 3 epic adventures as the Doctor, still attempting to avoid the Time War's horrors and escape his inevitable fate of becoming a warrior. And he's got a new companion, but has he met her before? Emma Campbell-Jones makes a highly anticipated return. Were we highly anticipating this?
I've had so many sleepless nights, just in my bed wondering, like, when is Casper Mazzy coming back? When?
Yeah, but a decade after first appearing in the 2013 TV special mini episode, The Night of the Doctor, now Cass somehow joins the 8th Doctor again, but in an earlier point of his life.
Honestly, I don't remember Cass existing in the Night of the Doctor. I only remember Paul McGann in that special and the weird ladies that are like, drink this drink.
Yeah, no, Paul McGann runs into, like, is it an exploding spaceship and it's about to orbit into the sun or something, and Paul McGann runs in and says, I'm the Doctor, not the one you'd expect.
Right.
And then he's like, come join me in the TARDIS, I want to save you. And the lady is like, no, you're a Time Lord, I fear you, you're worse than the Daleks. Basically is what she says. And she really loathes the Time Lords because I presume because of the Time War. Yeah. Emma Campbell-Jones says, I've been very much hoping and wishing ever since we did that minisode that there would be more adventures and magic at some point. Words can't describe how happy I am to be back. In The Night of the Doctor, it felt like Cass was just starting out, and then her story was very much curtailed. It was desperately heartbreaking. I love that she has another chance unwittingly, and she doesn't know her story yet. I'm really excited about her journeys to come and that she has more to live. It's beautiful and exciting. Sonny McGann also returns to the TARDIS as Alex Campbell, the Doctor's cheeky great-grandson from a different universe.
What? Hang on, what? You can't just fucking slip that in at the end, Big Finish. What are you talking about? What the
fuck? So yeah, the Doctor has a great-grandson from another universe.
Named after, with the same last name as Paul McGann. Oh no, Sonny McGann returns. Is he related to Paul McGann, I wonder? As Alex Campbell.
So. I would have to. I meant to look him up before.
From a different universe. Alex Camp. Maybe he's like a daughter. Or he's a daughter. No, he's the son of like Susan or something, in like an alternate timeline.
I can't find Sonny McGann anywhere, but I presume he must be related to Paul McGann.
Yeah, maybe.
This is fucking
it's
weird.
Just a wild thing to hold on to the end. It's not even a character I fucking knew existed. But producer David Richardson said, Cass is back, and she even gets to be in the title of the 5th box set in the 8th Doctor's Time War saga. But how can this be? Cass met the Doctor once in the Night of the Doctor and died at the end of that story. Spoilers. Unless something cataclysmic is happening to the course of history. Something huge. Like a war within time. Some sort of time war. The 8th Doctor Adventures Time War Cass is available to pre-order for just $24.99 with the Collector's Edition 4-disc CD box set and download, or just $19.99 for the download only. It comes out in January of 2023.
So yeah, I'll be picking this up because I just got all of the Time War stories on sale.
Dork.
I'm very much looking forward to jump into it because it was like a big starting point for the 8th Doctor as well.
Yeah.
And we're finally jumping back into near the end of the 8th Doctor's life, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm, for sure. In other news, Peter Capaldi got a BAFTA! On the 20th of November, Peter Capaldi was awarded for Outstanding Contribution to Film and Television at the BAFTA Scotland Awards. He said, I am deeply touched to be receiving the BAFTA for... Hang on, sorry. I am deeply touched to be receiving the BAFTA Scotland Outstanding Contribution to Film and TV Award. My good luck started with being born in Scotland and continued on with the opportunities afforded to me within the Scottish film and TV industry. Without the support of creative community in Scotland, I wouldn't be here. So the recipient of this award is kindness indeed. Which is, I think, a flawless Peter Capaldi impression. It's okay for me to do that because I am Scottish. Jude McHaverty, director of BAFTA Scotland, said, we are delighted to be presenting this year's outstanding contribution to film and television to the exceptionally talented Peter Capaldi. Peter Capaldi is one of Scotland's highest profile actors who has created some of film and television's most iconic and much loved characters. His work has not only been recognised by his peers and the public, but has also inspired future generations of film and television makers. We are honoured to present this award to Peter and look forward to recognising his outstanding achievement in person at the BAFTA Scotland Awards on Sunday, the 20th of November. And another flawless impression of Jude McLaverty there. These awards literally just happened like 3 days ago, and they were very lovely and charming. The best thing that come out of them is Shooty Gatwa was also at these awards, and there was fucking just amazing photos with Ncuti Gatwa and Peter Capaldi. Some really like just charming little fucking captions with them.
Photographs of the two of them just laughing.
Yeah,
just it was really adorable. I don't know if he actually watched his speech, but his speech was really good and very heartfelt.
Oh, lovely.
He even calls out Ncuti Gatwa in the audience, and during his speech, he wishes him good luck, which is really sweet of him.
Brilliant. That's lovely.
And yeah, I'm glad to see nothing but love between Peter Capaldi and Ncuti Gatwa. Just nothing but support, which is nothing much else to say apart from it was well deserved. He deserves it.
Yeah, it's also nice to see him, interacting with Doctor Who again, because I really feel like when he left the show, he just like stopped talking about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm done with that part of my life, and that's Peter Capaldi. The man loves Doctor Who more than anybody.
Yeah. And he's still even being like that when he's doing interviews for like the Devil's Hour, which is his new show of Stephen Moffat, which I still haven't seen.
Same.
He's still like, yeah, I'm kind of done with Doctor Who. I don't want to return to do any audio dramas or anything. But I imagine he will change his mind in like 5 years or something.
Probably, yeah.
It's still very fresh for him, I realized I wrote a lot for this next story. You don't have to read it all, but basically Chris Chibnall is training new showrunners, which is very good. Very good to see what he's doing with his career now.
It's interesting as well because, I think like if you were to just look at the headline, Chris Chibnall to train new showrunners, a lot of cynical people would be like, why? But I think out of anybody, Chris Chibnall knows how to run a fucking show because he had no budget, no time, and still got things out on like to a semi-decent degree of quality. Yeah.
He produced Doctor Who during the time when it was basically the only British sci-fi series that wasn't co-produced with any American company or anything like that. He was like, Doctor Who is the biggest sci-fi show in the UK, which is still wild to think about, as no other show has kind of come in to compete with that.
Yeah, it'll be a very interesting to see who comes out of it, and what shows they go on to make. And I think Chibnall's just got a good mind for it.
Yeah, and a lot of focus for this like training scheme is to bring in diverse showrunners. Basically, Chris Chibnall says showrunners are the gatekeepers, and too many of the gatekeepers look like me. We need the gatekeepers to be from a more diverse range of backgrounds, but to be the gatekeeper, you need a certain degree of experience. There is loads still to do in the industry, and those of us in these jobs still need to be at the forefront of doing that. So yeah. And a lot of people forget that if being a showrunner means you have to build like pre-production, shooting, post-production.
You do everything. You're in charge of the entire show.
Which is
like you have the final word, because like NTV especially, director is not the be all end all. Like in film, director have the final say. But in TV, it's writers, and specifically the showrunner, who is the head writer, that have the final say on everything. TV is a writer's fucking world, not a director's world.
We kind of shit on Chibnall's writing quite a lot in this podcast, but
justifiably so.
Yeah. But at the same time, you can kind of sympathize with him. He's the head of the biggest sci-fi show probably in the world.
Well, no, Star Trek's around, Star Wars is around, but the most, maybe the most iconic British ones. Yeah, one of the big ones. But right at the same time, the issue with Chibnall is always the execution, because his reason behind all of his choices makes sense. Whenever he talks about why he did something or why something like that, why a character does a certain thing, he has a reason for it. He's thought it out. They're not doing things fucking randomly. There's always something lost in translation.
Yeah, like when he revealed that the reason why the Doctor acts awkwardly around Graham when he was worried about his cancer was because that's how he had the experience of coming out to friends when he had cancer. They acted awkwardly around him. And that's fair and well, but you could have had the Doctor come back later on in the episode and be like, earlier I was acting awkward around you because I didn't know what to say. Now here's my big speech to make you feel better. Or something like that.
Instead, the episode ends with the Doctor being awkward. It's fucking atrocious. It's a really bad episode of Doctor Who.
Because I just watched Dead to Me Series 3 came out. It was the final series, and one of the characters in the show is dealing with cancer. She reveals it to her girlfriend when they're both in bed together, and the girlfriend pretends not to hear it, and she pretends to sleep. We don't realize this at the time, but the day after this, she goes into her girlfriend's house and basically is like, I pretended to be asleep when you revealed you had cancer. I felt really awkward. And we just have a nice, lovely little discussion about feelings and all that. It was a lovely little moment of opening up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like Doctor Who should have done something like that, because this is a big program for kids, and you know, it could introduce how we can have this conversation with people moving forward, you know. So if you were a kid and you were dealing with somebody with cancer and you watch Doctor Who, you could be like, okay, this is how I deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I can relate to Doctor Who.
Yeah, you just say that it's super awkward and you walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chibnall, yeah, there's... He's a man that torments my brain.
I do wonder if there's going to be like a showrunner that comes along that's so much worse than Chibnall, and we'll look back on Chibnall and be like, hey, he was actually really good.
Well, of course I know him, Scott. He's me.
Anyway, that's all the news for this month, but we're looking ahead at next month. You want to jump into what's
some
coming out?
Big Finish releases, baby. Woohoo! We have got Doctor Who, The War Doctor Begins, He Who Fights with Monsters. Big Finish love their long, confusing titles. The Doctor is no more. A warrior has joined the Time War between the Daleks and Gallifrey. But how far will he go? What lines will he cross? How much of himself will he sacrifice? The War Doctor has begun to find out who he is and the consequence of fighting with monsters. It's a 3-part story called The Mission, The Abyss, and The Horror. It sounds interesting.
Interestingly, there's no writers attached to any of these episodes.
Weird.
Usually it says, "Oh yeah, the mission."
Oh no, this one's written by Robert Ballantyne.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Maybe he wrote all 3 episodes, because in the production credits it's just Robert Ballantyne as the writer. But yeah, no, it's another Big Finish release of the War Doctor.
Yeah.
I've never listened to any of the War Doctor Big Finishes. They have weird Dalek spiders on the cover?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. The Dalek spiders remind me of like concept art for the 8th Doctor movie.
Yes,
do you remember?
Yes, I do. I do remember, indeed.
So yeah, it's interesting they're bringing these kind of back from the old Universal pitch deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, weird.
And also, if you look in behind the scenes footage and you look at the picture of Nicholas Lee, whatever his last
Nicholas
name
Le
is,
Prevost,
and also look at him on the cover.
It's the
same picture.
That's the picture they used, and they turned it into Paint and Photoshop. That's amazing. That's brilliant.
But yeah, I just got the War Doctor, the original War Doctor series with John Hurt on sale from Big Finish, so I will be listening to it soon, and I'll probably jump into this prequel series soon after that.
This obviously does not have John Hurt, because he is no longer with us. Instead, it has Jonathan Carley playing the War Doctor, whose voice, I don't know, maybe he sounds alright as John Hurt.
I've heard his voice as John Hurt, impersonating John Hurt. His voice is really good. It's
very cool.
It's spot on.
What I do like about these War Doctor stories, though, is they are not old man John Hurt Doctor. This is young War Doctor John Hurt going through the war and aging throughout it, because he did not regenerate into an old man. He regenerated into a young fucking John Hurt, and then fucking fought for years as that Doctor. It's such an interesting character.
And that's even represented in the actual cover art, because I presume that must be an old photo of John Hurt starring in probably Aliens or something. I don't know where that's from. Yeah, interesting. I don't know what the lore behind the Dalek spiders are. I don't know why we haven't seen them in the actual series.
Yeah, no idea.
Give me a second, because here we go. Our next box set is actually the 8th Doctor Adventures Connections. And I don't know if you haven't listened to the recent...
Not yet. I really want to. I haven't got around to it.
It's really fucking good. It's off to a great start. And this box set seems like it's It seems like it's going to carry on and be better. But Doctor, Liv, and Helen are are out in the universe, picking up missing pieces and finding lost connections. After a package entangles them with shifty Time Lord Drax, the TARDIS crew are haunted by past loves on a space station before Helen encounters somebody she believed long gone, which is her brother. Obviously the cover, the big draw of this box set is that the Weeping Angels are going to be in it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Which will be interesting to see what they're like in audio form.
Yeah.
A creature that's primarily based on vision being the spooky.
Yeah.
In audio form being the spooky. I'll see how well that translates.
So yeah, this set has 3 stories. Here Lies Drax by John Dorney, who John Dorney wrote the best 2-parter in the last 8th Doctor box set, Paradox of the Daleks. It is like a Stephen Moffat script.
Ooh.
It is so fucking good. You will love it.
Brilliant.
We also have The Love Vampires by James Kettle, and we have Albie's Angels by Roy Gill. All 1 part.
Interesting. I'm hyped for it. I love Paul McGann. I've got such a deep affection for him in my heart. And more Paul McGann Doctor is always fantastic. I'm sure this will be brilliant. In other releases, we have got... Oh my god, I'm getting all the War Doctor ones. We have got The War Master, Escape from Reality. Pursued by a squadron of Dalek assault ships, the Master's only hope is to abandon the space-time vortex and flee into an altogether different reality, a realm of fiction. Confronted with creatures of myth and figures from folklore, the Master sees an opportunity to scavenge a universe of impossible artifacts and use them against his enemies. But first, he must face off against a host of legendary monsters, literary heroes, and embody fiction's greatest consulting detective, Sherlock Holmes. This has got...
I'll give you a prize if you guess who plays Sherlock Holmes.
A prize if I guess who plays Sherlock Holmes.
Actually, I won't give you a prize, but still.
Isn't it the Master playing Sherlock Holmes?
No, it's fucking Nicholas Briggs.
Ah, right. Brilliant. This is a 4-episode release with The Wrath of Medusa by Rachana Patel, The Shadow Master by Lizzie Hopley, The Adventure of the Deceased Doctor by Alfie Shaw, and The Master of Dorian Gray by David Welsh Llewellyn. Yeah, stupid Wales. This is obviously Derek Jacobi coming back as the Master. I think Big Finish making him the War Master is one of the smartest decisions they've ever made.
It's perfect. And also today, just the other day, obviously Scott Hancock is the new script editor. If you look at the production credits, he is the script editor of this box set. He is the director of this box set, and he's also a producer of this box set.
Damn.
And he did 3 more War Master box sets after this. So yeah, we're still getting the Scott Hancock things from Big Finish for quite a while now.
That's very cool.
I'll probably check this out eventually, but yeah, I need to listen to the other 8 box sets first.
For this one, to me, the vibe really comes across as my least favorite Star Trek episodes, which is when the holodeck messes up and there is an episode where the holodeck messes up and Moriarty comes to life and starts going around the ship, and it's just shit.
But this is actually based off a pre-existing episode, The Mind Robber, which is set in the land of fiction, where fictional characters like Rapunzel shows up, and Jamie gets replaced by his cousins for an episode, which is funny. But yeah, it's a fun episode. I'm looking forward to this box set when I get round to it in like 20 years.
Yeah, I'm never listening to it.
After that, we have Torchwood, The Empire Man, which stars Queen Victoria. Christmas Eve, and in a secret library underneath Buckingham Palace, Queen Victoria has invited her new Prime Minister to a very private tradition. Interesting it is about a new Prime Minister. At 1 hour to midnight, the monarch insists on the telling of ghost stories. Stories of the supernatural, the alien, and the unsettling. Only this year, something else has got in. We are not alone.
Interesting. I don't think I'll ever listen to this one.
No.
It seems very small scale, but it seems kind of interesting. The only thing that I really want to talk about is the design for the Empire Man is edgy as fuck, and I'm all for it. It looks great. It's real cool.
That is a great cover overall. I like it.
Yeah. It's a cool, spooky looking dude in a hood. But interest in it is like, fuck it, I have like none. Speaking of things I have no interest in, BNW2 Unit Brave New World Visitants. Visitants? Fuck knows. The countdown to the millennium begins. New dangers face Brigadier Winfred Bambria, okay, Sergeant Jean-Paul Savarin, and Dr. Luis Rix. Some man-made, some uncanny, and some from beyond this world. To defeat them, they must stand together, or there'll be no tomorrow. This is 3 episodes called The Frequency by Tanjir Singh Hayer, Haunt by Lizzie Hopley, and The Last Line of Defense by Robert Valentine. This is possibly the least interested I've ever been in a Big Finish release. I don't give a shit about unit standalone stories. Yeah. I also think that this is one of the worst looking covers they have done in a while. Like, this looks like a 2007 level cover design.
Yeah, and also it's just a character I'm not that interested in. She made one appearance in Doctor Who in Battlefield, which is the 7th Doctor storyline. And it's like, I'm not a fan of that episode, so why would I want to listen to this spin-off?
Yeah, that I have no real interest.
But I think it has its fans, you know.
Of course.
When the first box set was announced, people went ape shit on Twitter.
Right, sure.
I mean, after that, we have just more Blake 7, you know.
Yeah, I'm so interested in Blake 7. I have no idea what it is. It looks so cheesy, but so cool.
But yeah, the number 1 box set is, of course, Doctor Who, the 8th Doctor.
Yeah, that without even a fuck, there's like no challenge. I'm most interested in Paul McGann, you know. Yeah, but it's a relatively small release. There's definitely the Paul McGann is the biggest release of this coming month. It's this is their December release, isn't it? This is their last releases of this year. It's kind of a weak note to go out on, but at least you're going out on some new Paul McGann. That's kind of an up.
But, you know, we just got news of them doing a huge thing, so I don't feel too let down, you know. I'm still looking forward for a future of Big Finish.
Absolutely. In other releases, Doctor Who The Collection Season 2 Limited Edition box set is coming out on Blu-ray. This is another Blu-ray collection in the same Blu-ray boxes that they've been releasing in just a really strange order. This season 2 is coming out with, you know, such classic episodes as Planet of the Giants, The Dalek Invasion of Earth, The Rescue, The Romans, The Really Super Good Web Planet, The Crusade, The Space Museum, The Chase, and The Time Meddler. On my rewatch of Classic Who, I am currently on The Space Museum. These all 9 stories with picture and sound newly restored from the best available sources, plus hours of extra material, including In Conversation 2 brand new interviews conducted by Matthew Sweet featuring William Russell and Maureen O'Brien. Behind the Sofa, an all-star lineup of Doctor Who companions watch stories from this classic season. Flight Through Eternity, a full-length documentary looking back at the early years of Doctor Who. Collectibles documentary examining the 1960s Doctor Who merchandise explosion. Missing episode reconstructions. Watch The Crusade with its 2 missing episodes reconstructed using off-air soundtracks and photographs. The Storyteller, a special short film produced to launch this set. PDF written archive of scripts and production documents, and an exclusive booklet exclusive to the limited edition set with story notes, photographs, and artworks. I love the shit that they stick in the Blu-rays for these collection. It's the best thing about Blu-rays is all the behind the scenes stuff, you know.
They stick in everything in the kitchen sink into these box sets. It's really incredible just how much things they have for this. Like, there's 4,000 pages of PDF written archive scripts, which is insane.
It's just crazy. And it's only, you know, for 50 quid, you're getting a good deal for your money, you know?
Yeah, £50 for like 40 classic episodes, plus all those special features, plus the special features from the previous box sets, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, it's really good value for money, you know, if you're a classic Doctor Who fan, or if you're just a Doctor Who fan in general. A little behind the scenes thing is we're covering the Time Meddler in January, which I'm excited for.
Yes, I'm interested to see what it'll be like as well. We've not looked a lot at William Hartnell for a very purposeful reason.
Yeah, we've only looked at him in
his regeneration episode,
and he's gone for an episode. You know, the other episode is animated, so
yeah.
In terms of I saw the trailer for this, and there's a brilliant moment where William Russell is being interviewed, and Matthew Sweet is like, "Tell me, were Ian and Barbara in love?" And William Russell just gives this little smile, which is really sweet.
That's lovely.
And we have Doctor Who Demon Quest limited edition vinyl box set.
The art in this is fucking outstanding.
So yeah, I'm still tempted to actually get this, just because of the art alone.
The art is amazing. Yeah. What is it? I'm not sure what it is.
To scroll down, it's basically a Tom Baker audio drama, not produced with Big Finish. It's produced with Demon Records. It's the second series of unique audio adventures starring Tom Baker as the Doctor, following the success of Doctor Who's Hornet's Nest. Every copy includes an exclusive frameable portrait of the Fourth Doctor, hand-signed by Tom Baker himself.
Dab.
Just one of its reads inside a stunningly designed package. And they just repeat the same. Are you reading this? They said the same thing twice.
They really did. That's fantastic. They just had to hit that word count. But that sounds interesting. The artwork is insane. And getting like a signed thing from Tom Baker as well. Very, very cool. It is £170.
Yeah, and I just spent £130 on a Big Finish sale the other day. Do I spend money on this?
Yes. Buy one for me, one for you, and 5 for random listeners.
Because it is beautiful. That cover alone is just like... I don't think I'll ever listen to it. Just, it's beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
You can't say they didn't, pimp it out.
Absolutely correct. In other news, really strange news, there's a Doctor Who book coming out called Wartime, based on the popular spin-off from TV's Doctor Who, with a cover like a cover straight from 1985. It's a book by Stephen James Walker to be released in December 2022. Exact date is unconfirmed. It's being published by a company called Telos. It doesn't have an ISBN number yet. It's coming out in paperback, and there is no blurb.
So yeah, this is the novelization of the 1988 straight-to-video spin-off starring Sergeant Benton, who we just saw in The Three Doctors. Basically, this was the only kind of spin-off thing that was produced during the time of the original series. And it stars Sergeant Benton. I've seen some clips from this. Basically, his family keeps jumping off bridges or something, is what I get from this. I don't know what's going on in the clips I saw. It's very strange. I would like to hunt down Wartime because it's very hard to find and review it someday. It's very bizarre.
So I've gone I've gone onto Talos Publishing's website. On their website, they have like a bunch of buttons where you can click on stuff that they do. So they've got Doctor Who, Cult TV, Film, Health and Spirit, Other Non-Fiction, Horror, Dark Fantasy and Science Fiction, Crime, Mystery and Thriller, Time Hunter, Romance, Erotica, and Other Fiction. This is what they do. And Doctor Who, they've published quite a few Doctor Who books, actually. With some with Matt Smith, some with David Tennant. And all the art looks straight from the fucking 1980s. What is this?
I mean, the company is named after the Cyberman planet, Talos.
Yeah, true.
So,
who runs
but yeah,
this?
this was based on a movie by Real Time Pictures released in 1988. I will read the description of this movie if I can ever click on this link. Basically, the description of the actual movie is: during a mission for UNIT leader Brigadier Alistair Lethbridge Stewart, Benton visits his childhood home where ghosts of the past rise up to haunt him. John Levine, who played Benton on Doctor Who off and on between 1968 and 1975, reprised his role for the film. In 1997, a revised version of the film was released, blah 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 blah, and Nicholas Courtney makes a voice cameo in the re-release.
Interesting.
But yeah, this is basically a situation where, because the characters of Doctor Who are owned by its creators, they can loan these characters to other companies. Like Benton was owned by Derek Sherwin, and he created UNIT as well, apparently. So, as long as the Doctor isn't mentioned, they can use these characters.
Sorry, I clicked on the erotica section. There's a book called Pyrotica, as in like pirates. The fourth book in Telos' Moonrise Sinful Pleasure range of high-quality erotica. Pyrotica is a lusty tale of sex and power on the high seas, from the author of Awakening Jessica. It's 220 pages and available in paperback.
And also, speaking of erotica, have you ever heard of the movie Zygon, When Being You Isn't Enough? It is a Zygon movie produced in 2008.
Right.
You know, it stars with Zygons, and according to Wikipedia, it is more an adult film than a fantasy film. It features some nude and sex scenes.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, we have a Zygon soft core.
Not soft corn.
Soft core porn.
Soft corn.
Starring Zygon. But yeah, you know, the Doctor Who universe is bigger than we think about, and we discover this every fucking month.
Yeah, there's always weird fucking things releasing. And we've also got some interesting releases with Doctor Who and the Daleks, the official story of the films, which is another book, this one by John Walsh, and is the definitive guide to the making of the classic 1960s Doctor Who movies, lavishly illustrated and packed with insights into these beloved films. Doctor Who and the Daleks, the official story of the films, is the that's just the same thing repeated twice. They fucking love doing that.
We've talked about this before. Basically, the making of the film is like a big table. It's a coffee book table, basically. It releases on my birthday, so hint.
Nice.
I'd probably get this if I didn't just spend £130 on Big Finish.
No, it sounds cool.
Yeah.
You can also buy it on Kindle. It's only coming out hardback and Kindle. I'm a paperback guy, so we'll see. But it sounds interesting enough. We've also got Me and Him and Who.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Want to know more about the life of 1980s Doctor Who producer John Nathan Turner? A new audio drama tells the details of his final years alongside his partner and Who production manager Gary Downey as Nathan Turner battled addiction and Downey fought cancer. John Nathan Turner was the youngest producer of Doctor Who, or was he? As he himself said, never let the facts get in the way of a good story. His name was John Nathan Turner, and having worked his way up to the Doctor Who career ladder since 1969, he took over as producer 10 years later and set about putting his highly stylized mark on it. However, John Nathan Turner became so synonymous with the television show because of his ability to court the press and placate the fans that he delayed moving on until it was too late. When the show was cancelled in 1989, he was left out in the wilderness struggling to channel his flamboyance into anything else, and with the nasty side of the fan base turning against him and his decade-long tenure on the series. Towards the end of his life, he tried to write his autobiography, but always fell at the final hurdle, whether it was just because of his partner, Gary Downey's cancer, or his own drink-related illness, or just a reluctance to bite the BBC hand that once fed him. In his final few years before passing away at the young age of 54, his relationship with friends became toxic because of his partner's wicked turn of phrase and no-holds-barred approach to saying what he thought. We find them both supporting each other and belittling each other in what appeared to be a love-hate relationship, but was in fact an enduring and endearing romance. And in a sometimes bleakly comic tale, we see these two men's support network. Oh my God! We see these two men's support network crumble and be rebuilt, with the desire always to be back in the limelight and put on a show, any show. But the show we hear is the backstage gossip of a fading producer who's still looking for his final Norma Desmond-esque close-up. Me, Him and Who will be released in early December 2022 as a limited CD edition with a digital version available mid-2023. That sounds real fucking interesting.
It does, but at the same, it's written by Stephen Wyatt, who also wrote some Seventh Doctor stories. So he worked with John Nathan Turner, and it's really weird because an kind of like a audio drama based on a producer of Doctor Who is interesting. That's an interesting thought, but at the same time, it's like this guy kind of went through a lot.
Yeah,
it kind of feels sickly to kind of do this when he's dead. He probably wouldn't have approved of
Maybe, but presumably his estate has agreed to it.
Yeah.
It'd be the same if they were to make a biopic movie about his life. Like at a certain point, it's just it's a story to be told.
It's Doctor Who, and of course the biopic would be audio based.
Yeah, yeah, of course. There's no other way.
I'm not sure if I'd ever get this, but
No, see what it does sound interesting. I know like next to nothing about John Nathan Turner, so just even reading those few paragraphs gave a very detailed and like insight to his life.
He actually did write his own memoirs, and he's got a Big Finish. It was released through Big Finish, of course. So if you're ever interested in hearing his life story, I presume it's in that.
Interesting, very interesting indeed. But that does bring us to the end of our release section of this episode, and basically towards the end of this episode now, if this is your first time listening, this is where we chat shit for a little bit, not super long. We just kind of have a wee catch up and get a chance to talk about something other than Doctor Who for a change. So Scott, what have you been doing?
My biggest binge this month was Dead to Me. I just mentioned it earlier, and it's only 3 seasons, 10 episodes each, half-hour episodes. It's a dark comedy, basically it stars Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini. Almost forgot her name. They are really fucking good in this show. It's basically Christina Applegate's husband just died in a car crash. He got hit by a driver. We find out early on it's Linda Cardellini who did the murder, and basically they become friends, and it's really interesting watching these people become friends. In season 3, it's basically just a big love story between these two friends, and they kind of drop some story arcs. Basically, there's a whole murder mystery going on with the FBI trying to chase Linda Cardellini, and we're trying to hide the murder and stuff like that. They kind of drops elements of the storyline, but this season was mostly focused on just basically their connection, their friendship, and it's really beautiful. It's a really beautiful end to the season. I would recommend this show. I'm trying to be vague with spoilers.
Interesting. I had never heard of it, but I see it in the top 10 whenever a new season comes out. But the algorithms decided to, the thumbnail that it decides to show me never makes me want to sit and watch it. But maybe I'll check it out. For me,
it's described as a dark comedy. I would describe it more as it's a dramedy, I would say. It's not laugh out loud funny all the time. But it does have moments of laughter. It's a really heartwarming final end to the series.
Interesting. No, for me, I've not been really watching too many new things. I've been on a bit of a rewatch binge at the minute. I've been re-going through Peep Show with my flatmate, and we've also been watching The Good Place, which for me is like my third time going through it. It's their first time, and we've got like 4 episodes left of the final season, and I don't know if I'm emotionally ready to go through all that again, because it is a perfect ending.
You bring up The Good Place. The final episode of Dead to Me feels like The Good Place in terms of just emotion.
Nice.
It is so heartbreaking. It's just such an emotional roller coaster. I was heartbroken at the end of The Good Place.
Yeah, I know, but
it
was so good. It was so good, though.
Chidi's speech about the waves.
So good. And then after that, we're going to be watching Better Call Saul. Because I've got this fucking bug to watch it again, and they've never seen it, but they all love Breaking Bad, and I'm like, brah, it's better. You gotta watch this shit. It's so good.
I was the one who turned you on to Better Call Saul.
I know, this year. It was like January, and then by the time it was coming out in March, I was caught up.
Because you were like, I don't know whether or not I want to rewatch Breaking Bad or jump into Better Call Saul, and I was like, dude, watch Better Call Saul. It's ending soon. It's a great show.
It was very much worth it. And I just finished my Breaking Bad rewatch. I've only got El Camino left before I'm fully done with that universe again. Just kidding. I'm watching Better Call Saul.
I need to rewatch Breaking Bad. It's been many years.
It's good. It's not as good as Better Call Saul.
Yeah, Better Call Saul has better character arcs and stuff.
It's such a beautiful slow burn. Such a beautiful slow burn. But Breaking Bad walked so Better Call Saul could run.
And it's a shame. Better Call Saul is kind of like the most underseen show out of the two. It's sad that more people aren't on the Better Call Saul train.
Yeah, but it's still it's worth watching if nobody has watched it. Other than that, I've not really been doing much of anything. I've not really been watching anything new. I'm a few episodes behind on Andor. I still need to find time to catch up on it, but it's fucking brilliant. You know,
it ended today. I still have the last 2 episodes to watch. It's fucking great. It's probably the best Star Wars show.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think if I like it more than Mandalorian. Mandalorian is more of an adventure, whereas this is more. It's kind of like prestige television, kind of.
It's like a crime, like gritty drama. It's real cool. Yeah. I really.
It's really good.
Really, really liking Andor as well. But other than that, I've just really been playing video games a lot recently. I've been replaying Fallout 4 for like the 18th millionth time and having a blast with it. It's such a good game. But yeah, you know, nothing. It's been a quick month. November has fucking blurred past me. You know.
Yeah, I've been watching Doctor Who. I've been rewatching some of the old William Hartnell stories because I'm preparing for that season 2 box set. I also want to just watch the entire show before the next episode, which will come out obviously next month, next year. I meant to say.
Yeah, next month. You're gonna watch all 3 seasons by next month.
Basically, this month I've been watching The Edge of Destruction, which is a really fascinating episode where everybody goes mad because of a spring. We watched that episode.
Yeah, probably. I don't remember.
A long time ago because
it would have been like 2 years ago. Like,
I've also been watching. I just finished The Aztecs today. That's a really good story. I really like that one.
Yeah, I liked the Aztecs. Has some good performance. There were some episodes that dragged for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's classic Who. But The Aztecs is definitely a standout from season 1 for sure.
Yeah, I think I like The Aztecs more every time I watch it. It's just a really solid show. And also William Hartnell's moments of like, you can't rewrite history, one line of it. He's really good in that episode.
It's because it's before he started hating acting on the show, you know? It's very early.
It's before his memory completely went.
Yeah. Although he still fucks his lines. Like,
And also I've been listening to the 8th Doctor box set, which I can't really talk about because you haven't listened to it yet. And also we're discussing it in a separate episode in January, so I'm looking forward to that.
Hyped. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well.
Also today, the 9th Doctor new box set came out. I'm looking forward to listening to that. I also can't speak about that because A, I haven't listened to it, and B, we're also talking about it in an episode soon. So
yeah. God, we've got so much coming up. So much coming up. And speaking of things we've got coming up, Scott, what have we got coming up next week?
Oh, God damn it. Do you not have a page open?
I do have it open. I just wanted to
then fucking read it. I'm not prepared.
Next week, we are looking at the Peter Capaldi episode, Thin Ice. As it is the start of December, and we were like, let's get chilly with it and spend December looking at some snowy episodes. And we are kicking that off with Peter Capaldi's Thin Ice, which I think is an episode with Bill. And will be our first time watching Bill as a companion on the podcast.
I honestly keep on forgetting Bill was a companion. It's not because she's not interesting or anything like that, because it's kind of like she was the only companion in the modern era to only last 1 season, basically.
Yeah, I think Bill's super underrated. I really enjoyed Bill as a companion.
I enjoyed her a lot. It's just she was kind of in a transition phase, you know.
Yeah.
You were watching season 10 preparing for the next Doctor, and I was like, she's not coming back, so what's the point in trying to pay attention to her character arc or anything like that?
Yeah, but she was still fun. But we December's got a pretty good lineup. After Thin Ice, we will be then looking at The Unquite Dead, which is a Eccleston episode.
Yeah.
With the spooky ghosts.
The second story, the Dalby Spook in the 8th Doctor box set, was a lot like that episode, where we're trying to debunk the myth of ghosts.
Interesting. But the reason that we chose Thin Ice and The Unquite Dead to go back to back is they basically take place within the same century. They are both set in like Victorian London, so we were like, you know, fuck it. These 2 episodes are basically happening at the same time. Let's have them as a 2-parter. It'd be pretty fun.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
Also the second one is essentially the Christmas episode that wasn't aired at Christmas. You know, it's Charles Dickens' Free Ghosts. You know, It's a Christmas episode.
It very much is. And then speaking of Christmas episodes, to bring us into Christmas, we will be looking at the End of Time. And is the End of Time one episode, or is it a two-parter?
Two-parter.
Oh, okay, so we will be looking at both parts of the End of Time into the build-up for Christmas, which is...
What's interesting about the End of Time, I chose it because, we just had the end of an era with the Master, and I was like, yeah, that's the perfect thing to do. A Christmas episode at the end of an era with the Master.
Mm-hmm.
And also Russell T. Davies is coming back. At the time, I didn't know David Tennant was coming back.
Yeah, we've had the schedule for a while. Yeah, it's very cool.
I predicted David Tennant coming back.
You definitely did not do that. But yes, and then we will be wrapping up the year with a fun little news podcast, and then that will be 2022 in the bag. That's insane. There'll be 2 years of the podcast done.
Yeah,
it'll be our second year. It'll be just mental.
Also, I'd like to announce what we're actually doing next year for the podcast.
Gasp.
Because we haven't actually said this yet, but we're basically doing one story from every Doctor, which should be interesting going through each era in chronological order.
Yes, it will be. It'll be. It's going to take up at least half the year, if not. No, it's going to take up like 3/4 of the year.
Yeah, we start in January and it will last up until October, which is
yeah. It's going to be an interesting experiment to see what happens next year. But we've got some big plans for the podcast next year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Busy stuff ahead.
Be sure to tell your friends about the podcast. Be sure to rate us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. You can do the rest because you usually do this. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so share our podcast around, on your Facebook and your group pages with somebody that you know that likes Doctor Who and also likes podcasts. Leave us 5-star reviews, as Scott said. You can find us on Twitter at Watches Doctor. You can find us on YouTube.
If it still exists by Friday.
Yeah, you can find us on YouTube at Who Watches Who Pod. You can find us on Facebook at Who Watches Who. You can find me on Twitter at Cloth223. You can there's all the links you need in the description. You could even send us an email if you wanted at whowatcheswhopod@gmail.com, and we will read it out in these episodes, the news episodes where we're just spaffing shit. If you've got any theories about Doctor Who, any exciting things, any thoughts on things that we've said in the episode, when Scott was like super racist, if you got anything you want to say, just send us an email, whowatcheswhopod@gmail.com. Don't act so shocked. You know what you're like.
I'm trying to think, did I say anything racist? I'm worried now.
But yeah, there's all our social media stuff is in the description. Share the podcast with people. We're really trying to, next year we want to grow this podcast because right now, we've got like a classroom size full of people that listen to this podcast weekly, which is crazy. But let's turn the classroom into a fucking stadium,
I think we're fine with a small audience because it's like we're trying to hone our craft. I think we're at this place where we're not going to get any better in this. So
no, we're maxed out.
Now,
like,
we're not going to get better.
Yeah, no, but this is it. We're comfortable with how the podcast is. So if you're like, maybe they'll get better. Nah, if anything, we're going to get lazy and it's going to get worse.
Well, you should listen to us anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, share the podcast around. We're going to try really hard to get more into social media and get our name out there a bit. But like, who fucking has the time for that shit? Anyway, until then,
we both work full-time jobs. This is our this is something we do in addition to full-time jobs. We like to make this.
Don't I do this. I do a full-time job. I also make films. I have a whole separate other shit I do. I'm busy as fuck all the time. But we've like never missed a week. For 2 years, which is fucking insane. So
yeah, we were only late for like two episodes. I think.
Yeah, we were late for 2 episodes, and one of those episodes was 5 hours fucking long. So we were okay to be late. But yeah, this episode's taking forever to end. Just do all the shit we said. See you next week with Thin Ice. Okay, bye.
Bye.